Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Extinct Bricks Originals! And for this very special episode, we'll be featuring the LEGO custom Jurassic World game Glyptodon. But before we head on with this video, I'd like to say thanks to youtube.com audio library for this awesome background music. Please also like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You may want to support my channel by not skipping up all the ads on all my videos. Thanks everyone! Please do follow me on all my social media platforms. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LYKA. There I'll be posting some of my exclusive photos and also videos as well. Thanks everyone! The Guess SPECIE contest winners will be announced later, so without further ado, let's move on with the making of the Glyptodon. So at first, this was actually a challenge for me because this is the first time ever that I will be doing something wherein there has to be a shell on the back and then it has to be reattached somehow with a really thick body underneath that. So I decided to have this particular shell for the Glyptodon and use several parts from an existing raptor, and then of course legs from the small triceratops as well. The head is actually the Batman toy Joker head. It's really quite funny here, you can see it, but yeah, I decided to do that because it has these little point ears as the hair. Right, so to move on, I actually divided the shell into two and then extended it somehow. The tail also has these several movements to it, although it's not really very mobile. Nonetheless, it's still articulated in that particular region. So I have to bulk up everything here because the body of the Glyptodon underneath that particular shell is quite chunky. So I added several glue stick to the bottom of it, and then we'll be sculpting it with this Pioneer non-sag epoxy parts A and B. So here's the mixture, and I will be just putting certain clay on areas wherein I will be needing enhancement in terms of shape as well as sculpture, particularly here on the face, the back, and of course the bottom parts of the figure itself. The tail will also have several clay sculpting, although most of the detailing will be done later on after all the clay has been dried. So the face of the Glyptodon is somehow, very similar to that of a wombat. It has this really chunky cheeks to it. So I'm making those very asymmetrical to the other side. So I'm just finishing off this, the right side of this one, and then we'll be placing some more cheeks also on the other side. So I'm here starting on, of course, with the clay or sculpting on the back side of the Glyptodon. And then after this one, of course, I'll be covering also the bottom side of the Glyptodon as well. So here's the finished sculpt of the Glyptodon. You can see here I'm already adding several studs to the bottom side of the shell here, as well as studs on the tail also. So I'm just adding here all around the tail, so we have several layers to it. The more thicker layer will have partitioned spikes or studs to it. So I'm just doing it all around, and then we'll see here how it looks after. And here is the finished sculpt and with the details also of the Glyptodon. You can see here that it's pretty much looking almost done to me. I will, wet sand it a bit so that it's pretty much smooth on the backside, and then we'll primer it. And here's a primered Glyptodon. For the primer, I use number 68 Bosnian Gray. So first up, we will be painting the insides of the Glyptodon. So I'm just removing the tail. Later on, I'll be also removing the legs as well so that it will be painted all throughout. So the color that I'm actually using would be a mixture of yellow chrome or yellow ochre here, and then burnt sienna with a little bit of white. So this goes through the entire body of the Glyptodon. A separate color for the shell will be painted, but you'll see that later. Just one tip maybe with painting, you don't have to place so much paint on your brush yet. You can go through it over again if the paint is not, affixing so much on the figure. Just paint it very lightly and then paint it again once it's actually dry. This painting technique actually avoids the lumpiness of the paint on the entire figure. So especially when doing the primary colors, you may want to do this particular technique so that it won't be very heavy on the paint, and it makes your figure smooth to touch. So once everything is covered, we can now move on to the shell. So the shell will be a mixture of that same color. I added just a few more tones of browns to it and then applied it to the entire shell. Again, I'm painting really lightly on this one, and I will be repeating the same process with the same light paint on the dried portion of this brown color. I may have forgot to mention that aside from adding the burnt sienna to the existing yellow, for this one I also included a little bit of red so that it will have some reddish tones to it. Some of you may think that these studs are not necessary, but I think maybe someday that would be useful for my end, because I might, make these creatures very Dino Riders-like, because that's such a big part of my childhood. But anyways, for now, they're just studs. Okay, so now on with the details. So the Glyptodon will have, several hair on the bottom part of its body. Although it's not very seen, I still wanted to have that particular detail because, the shell is removable, and so I wanted to have that particular look to it. So this color is just a mixture of, the yellow that I used earlier with a little bit of black. The details will be covering, of course, the bottom part of the body, as well as the sides of the hind legs and also the forelegs, and also some parts of the head as well. So again, a little bit of tip, I guess, from my end. For this details, you may want to use the finest brush that you want or that you have, and start with a little bit or tiny paint on the tip of the paintbrush, and then drag it very quickly down the line, so it actually creates this fur-like texture. Now the fur wouldn't be necessarily, the same sizes. It has to be different sizes so that it will look somehow realistic. Okay, so with the brown that I have earlier, I just added some black to it to make it darker. This particular color will be used to have, or at least paint the details on the entire back or the entire shell of the Glyptodon. You know how giraffes has their particular speckles on the back or on the entire body? This is the same technique that I'm actually using it, where I will be painting different shapes of rounded speckles, and then having that little bit of space in between. This will go to the entire back or the shell of the Glyptodon. Imagine how tedious is it, but I actually did it and I was actually proud of it. I actually finished painting the entire back of the Glyptodon in just 30 minutes, so yay, Allan! Additional details will be added to the Glyptodon, such as, several more fur on the back of this creature, several tones of lighter colors and darker colors on the tail, just to bring out the details, as well as, color differences on the face of the Glyptodon. And I guess that's about it for the making of the Glyptodon. Let's now announce the Guess SPECIE contest winners, and here are the lucky picks. Liam Briggs, Baby Dumb Guy, Marika W, Godzilla Super, Mukade, 42 Ostriches, Siboy 6, Mogo Trebats, Valen, and Victor Gabriel. Congratulations everyone, and now for our top 10 winners.
Top 10.
Glyptodon, JM Reyes,
Top 8.
Master Guessing,
Top 7.
Godzilla, Dinosaurs, Lizards, and all,
Top 6.
Giovanna Kazuo Nathaniel,
Top 5.
Mr. T-Rex,
Top 4.
Maxim Taskayev,
Top
Mavi Amar,
Top 2.
Colton Todd,
Top
and Maximum
1.
Power. Congratulations everyone, and I'll see you on the next Guess SPECIE contest. For those of you who'd like to join the contest, here's how. Just click on the Extinct Bricks icon and it will lead you to the Extinct Bricks homepage. And the homepage, just click on the community link and it will lead you to all my posts. I'll see you there! And here are the tank-like armadillos. Well, let's move on with my favorite portion of this video, sub-bricks. So here are the pieces of the Glyptodon. We can now count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We have 8 pieces to this build. Let's start by assembling it, alright? Let's pick the body and let's connect the head. Now let's now connect the arms, or the forelegs. Let's start with the left one, and then the right. Now let's pick up the hind legs. Let's start this time with the right and then with the left. Now it's time for us to attach the tail. And there you go. That was pretty easy. And now for the hard part. Let's attach the back or the shell. And there you go. And now on with the next portion of this video, the closer look on the Glyptodon. So here's the Glyptodon enclosure with Usher here. He's really looking good on the contrast of those greenery. I really like how the texture of the shell actually ended up. This custom figure of mine is actually based off from the Jurassic World the game Glyptodon. It's actually very similar to that of the Jurassic World Alive Glyptodon. But hey, I just have to pick one, right? Well, Usher here is really happy because this is the very first time that he's seen this particular creature, and me too. He'll be back later for some size comparisons, but for now, we will move on with a closer look on the Glyptodon. And this goes out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the Glyptodon here is actually a very peculiar creature for me. I've seen one of these in one of the exhibits from before during my childhood back at Star City, and I think it's a really cool creature to make. It seems like an armadillo because it also has this leather-like detail on the head, and with the back that is also very similar to that of the armadillo, only it's just looking like a big turtle. Okay, so you can see here from the details on the face that it has this really cute eyes and these nostrils that are actually pointing outwards. So it's more like a little pig, but it's not. It's more like a wombat, I guess. So as for articulation, you can actually move the legs like so. Pretty much similar to that of how the small Triceratops would be. The head can be twisted on a 360 degrees, and you can actually take off the shell like that, and you can put it again afterwards. The tail is also movable to some degree, and yeah, I guess that's it for our closer look on the Glyptodon. Let's just fix everything up and we'll have one last close look on the Glyptodon. It's quite difficult to estimate where these studs are, so but nonetheless it's doable, so here it is. So just attaching the shell here and also the tail, and that should do it. And there you have it, the little tail of the Glyptodon with those spikes for its details. And here's the Glyptodon again for you with details on the painting on the back and also the head. The studs will be located on the front, on the topmost, and also on the sides. So that's a Glyptodon for you guys. Let's now move on with the size comparisons. And for the size comparisons, I'll be bringing back, of course, our man Usher here to be compared with the size of the Glyptodon. And as you can see in the comparison with the human being and also the Glyptodon here, I think it's almost the same proportion and also the same size as well. So here it is. I know mine's a little bit big, but I guess it's alright. Well, let's move on with comparisons between other extinct creatures here. And here is the extinct dodo, or the Rufus cuculatus. Now the dodo here is based off from the Ice Age dodo, wherein it's colored blue, and it also has this weird looking eyes, stupid eyes. Well, move on, little dodo. Now here is the most recent creation for the prehistoric line, at least Megafauna line that I have, the extinct Synthetosaurus. The Synthetosaurus will have this horn on top of its nose with tuning fork like appearance. Definitely it's smaller than that of the Glyptodon. Well, let's move on to the next comparison, and this is the extinct quagga. Now I think the quagga and the Glyptodon actually live in the same era, and they also share the same space, wherein the Glyptodon also lived in savannas and sometimes deserts as well. And that's it for our savanna friend, the quagga. Well, let's move on to the next comparison, and these are mostly carnivores. Now the first carnivore to think of when it comes to Megafauna would be this extinct Megalodon. Now, this Megalodon definitely has this fearsome appearance with those sharp-like dagger teeth on the front of its canine, and then of course it's very mobile, and it might be, you know, one of the dinners for this Megalodon, wherein he can actually scratch through the leather-like shell of the Glyptodon. Well, I don't know if that was actually happening, but at least the Glyptodon here, when compared in terms of size, is definitely bigger than that of the Megalodon. Now, next would be one of the bigger carnivores during the time would be the extinct Rex Androsarchus. Now, the Androsarchus you can see here is almost the same length of that of the Glyptodon, but definitely has this really big head with lots of teeth in it, and could easily be, you know, a fearsome way of eating the Glyptodon would be just snapping off the head like that. So comparing both by size, you can see that they're almost the same length, but the Glyptodon is a little bit higher than that of the Androsarchus. It's just that the Androsarchus will have this high shoulders to it. Well, one of the larger, more fearsome creatures, also the Megafauna, would be the extinct Rex Forest Racus. Now, the Forest Racus is a terror bird here, and you can see how tall it is, and could easily be a target for the, you know, Glyptodon. Its strong beak can easily, you know, cut through the leather shell of the Glyptodon, and that could just easily be the end of our little cute fur creature here. Well, let's move on with the extinct Rex roll call. But before that, let's add here the little cute dodo here. Again, everyone, if you do have any comments or suggestions of other Megafauna creatures you'd like to see next here on Extinct Rex, just comment down below, don't be shy, and I'll be able to read them. As you all know, I do try to reply on all your comments, and I do appreciate all your suggestions as well as your commendations as well. So yeah, so moving on, Usher Hill also would like to remind everyone that all of the creatures you see here is also available in Extinct Rex playlist. So do check it out, guys, if you haven't seen any of these wonderful creatures. I will also be placing the links for you to easily, you know, go through the videos itself. Well, let's move on with the SPECIE roll call. Let's start with the small one. Here's the Extinct Rex, Ice Age Dodo. Let's just bring it back. This is the Extinct Rex Symphytosaurus. Next is the Extinct Rex Quagga. This is the Extinct Rex Megalodon. And this is the Extinct Rex Androsarchus. This is the Extinct Rex Forest Racus Terror Bird. And last but not least, this is the Extinct Rex Glyptodon. And that's it for the SPECIE roll call. And let's now move on with the last looks of the Glyptodon. The Glyptodon actually came from the Greek names Glyptos, meaning carved or engraved, and Odon, meaning teeth. So sometimes it's also known as the carved tooth. It lived in the Pleistocene period around 2.5 to 0.001 million years ago, and is part of the Chlamyphoridae family. It can weigh up to 1,814 kilograms, a height of 4.9 feet, and a length of 11 feet. Oh, how interesting these creatures are, you know. I love how the enclosure is really blending on with this Glyptodon. Well, that's it for the video on the Glyptodon, and I hope you guys like it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and please don't forget to support our channels, EB Toy Universe and The Adventures of Moira and Usher. Please watch their videos and also support their channel as well by subscribing. And as we always would say, let your inner Dan break roar! Thanks, everyone!